Welcome to Sorry I'm a Bitch. I'm your host, Kaylee.
And I'm Hannah.
I always want to say
You do want to
your
say my
name.
name.
I want to be you. I am you. I love you. Um, Today's episode is called Birds Be Chirpin', and it's all about gossip. And the reason why it's called Birds Be Chirpin' is because that's just something I say. My husband and I watch a lot of Love Island, and they call women birds. And so if someone was talking bad about you, I usually just go, birds be chirping. We were thinking about episode ideas. And I was like, why don't we do one about gossip? It's something we all do. Don't lie.
I love gossip.
Me too.
We all love gossip, but it's this secret thing that everybody does.
If you're going to tell me you don't, you're lying. And
Yeah.
maybe you're reformed. Maybe you used to and you don't now. But girl, you used to. Men, you do it too. So another reason why we thought about this too is I got caught talking shit about a friend. And you can't even really say that. I really do believe there is a difference between talking shit and telling a story. And if somebody is telling a story about what you've done and it's a true story and it's what you did do and you hear that and you think they're talking shit, maybe do some self-reflection there.
Everybody talks about everybody else. That's how we have friend groups. That's how we have established hierarchies throughout all of human history. I did a lot of research about the history of gossip, and there's a lot of psychologists who are fascinated by it. One of the quotes that I pulled from the research article says, in general, gossip appears to be a widely spread and almost inevitable phenomenon. Up to 70% of people gossip all the time. Humans. Throughout all of human history, 70% of people gossip.
70% admit
70%
that they
admit.
gossip. The other
And
30% liars.
they are liars. And to your point, there's a difference between telling a story and talking shit. There is a line. There is a line between telling a story. And I think if you were to tell me a story about someone in your life, you have feelings about that person, you have experiences with that person, and those are separate from that person. You're allowed to feel how you feel about other people, you know?
I did read that we gossip about people because we want to have the person we're gossiping to think a certain way about who we are gossiping about. I told Hannah when we were talking about this, I said, I have a theory that gossiping is a survival instinct, that it's done because we're like, hey, warning about this person. And then when we started researching about it, it was used during the hunter-gatherer phase of humanity as a survival tactic.
People learn about the complex social and cultural life by hearing about the success and misadventures of others. It appears that we do not learn only about extraordinary experience made by others, but also about more trivial things. Humans survived by being in packs, by staying in groups, by forming culture, by surrounding ourselves with people who were like us. And that's how humans differentiated between tribes. That's how they stayed safe. So if there was an outsider, you're going to talk about the outsider because you're going to be like, who are they? What are they doing? What are their intentions? Are they a safe person? I think your theory is right. Gossiping and communication is a way for us to survive.
And it wasn't demonized until the 1700s. So I recently read The Frozen River, and it takes place in Maine in 1789. In it, there's a trial that's going on. During it, there's some trials where men are accused of rape, and they just get off because lack of evidence and the woman's lying. That is more likely than a man would rape, right? And Then one of the trials is a woman who was gossiping. She was sentenced. She was guilty, had a punishment, but all of the men who were accused of rape, they walked out and they would just went home. And this is a historical fiction book, but these things happened. Like
Yeah.
women were prosecuted for gossiping. Another thing that I read was women were back in the day more likely to gossip out in the open, whereas men did it, but they did it behind closed doors and more secret about it.
Men tried to prevent gossip between women because they were spreading too much information. It wasn't until we started researching for this episode that I learned that. And I was like, that really makes sense. And I pulled this quote from one of the articles I was reading, and it says, "In the eyes of the patriarchy, women's friendships have consistently been seen as a threat, with gossip playing a crucial role in forming and maintaining these bonds. Men thought that women sharing experiences and information, especially in times when they were left in the dark about real world issues, was unacceptable. These female friendships were labeled as too powerful, leading to the widespread sentiment of rebranding them as witch cults."
There it is.
The history of humanity and the patriarchy never ceases to amaze me. That makes total sense. And I honestly wonder now, there's such a negative connotation about gossiping and communicating. Does it come from that? Does it come from the patriarchy telling us that it's bad? And so we have to keep it like this secret thing? But the reality is that it's actually healthy and good and okay as long as you're not demonizing people. Talk about people.
Gossiping is seen as such an egregious act that when you're accused of it, you're like, what? I had a friend who divorced this guy, and I have a big mouth. I was at a bar, came home. But I know, what, me? And I ran into one of her ex-husband's coworkers. Admittedly, I probably was talking shit about her ex-husband, which wasn't a surprise to her. And that got turned into somehow I was talking bad about her. She messaged me, didn't accuse me, didn't say anything. She was like, I saw my ex-husband. He came to get the last of his shit. And he said, are you and Kaylee still friends? She was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, that's weird because she was talking shit about you. And she was like, yeah, that didn't happen. And she just knew because she was like, I think it's more likely she was talking shit about you. And now your last ditch effort to like, here, you lost your husband and like, let me make you lose your best friend too.
There's something about the game of telephone with gossip too. Gossiping can be a positive thing as well. Like people positively gossip about other people, but we don't call it gossiping. Like if I were to, like I go to my friends and I build up other people, that's just talking about things, talking about
Just
people.
relaying information.
Exactly. But that is a form of gossip. And then you can go in completely the other direction, and there's people who use gossip to better themselves. And usually those people are psychopaths. So there's that as well. And there's also people like you and me. I am a big gossiper. I fucking love gossip and I do some shit talking, but it's not to make me better. It's just because people deserve some shit talking. I'm sorry.
Should I talk about the submission we got?
Yeah.
Okay, we asked online, like, tell us some gossip or tell us about a time you got caught talking shit. And we got a submission. I'm just going to read it. I was sort of seeing this guy, and everyone was like, do not date him. I didn't listen, of course. Well, he plays me like a fiddle for months. Within this time, I have 4 different women tell me that he has a piss kink. I don't believe them, or so I claim. I do believe them. So I go to this Maggie Rogers concert and it was awesome. She has the crowd give her gossip stories for a song. I tell her that the guy I'm kind of seeing might have a piss kink. I go on about my life thinking there's no way this will ever leave that room. Maggie Rogers posts the video of me saying this all over the internet. I still have people sending it to me and asking if it was me. And see, to me, that's gossip that's like, hey, FYI, this guy has a piss kink, good looking out. And that is why men didn't want us gossiping, because they didn't want their piss kinks
But
exposed.
But what if did she approach the guy and was like, "Hey, are you into pee?" Like, or was it like a shameful kink?
Or did he pee on her a little bit? And then she was like, "Oh, yeah, I should have
Oh,
listened."
everyone was right. Or did he see the video with Maggie Rogers? I mean, that's worth it in itself to have like that connection with her.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, I'd get exposed for talking shit for Maggie Rogers to just be in her aura.
Right?
I think the moral of that story is like Maggie Rogers knows about you, girl.
Okay, so in this case, knowing someone has a piss kink is beneficial for people who don't have the same kink, but it's beneficial for people who do have the piss kink, who are like, oh, there's other people like me. Gossip is just a way for us to find our people.
Yeah. Some
You
of
know?
us don't want to do the walk of shame reeking of piss.
Some of us don't.
Some do.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of people in LA who must have piss kinks.
Stop. Have you run into anyone?
It's just you walk down the street and there's everything smells like pee.
I did experience that. I did experience that when I was
You
there
did.
for sure. That was
Which I'm not going to make light of not having clean clothes or a home or a place to pee, but goddamn.
it's a reality.
It is a reality. I will say that my favorite friendships are the ones where we gossip. And I've had to take a few steps back every once in a while. Like, am I gossiping too much? Do I need to get my own fucking life and shut the fuck up about other people? Like, what's wrong with me? But then I realized that it's ingrained in me. I don't know. I love it. I love talking shit.
I know. It's an adrenaline rush. Like, if someone sends me a text and they're like, bitch, listen to this, I'm like, all ears.
Yes,
Let's
give me
go.
the tea.
Yes.
That's all I want. In my early 20s, I had friends and they're like, Hannah, if I want a secret shared, I tell it to you. And I'm like, true. I would tell people, don't tell me secrets. Because my thoughts back then were, if you're telling me a secret, you must not want it to be a secret. If I have a secret, I don't tell anyone. No one. But if I want some information to be out in the world, I tell people. But now as I'm older, I'm not a little blabbermouth little bitch. If someone's like, please don't share this information with anyone else, I go, yeah, I won't. That's a secret. That's a good secret.
I am going to tell my husband because I need someone to talk to about it.
Yeah, I'll tell my partner for sure. But if there's a secret from my partner, won't tell anyone else.
See, I won't have a secret from Zach.
No.
Like, if they're like, don't tell Zach. Or I mean, don't tell Steve.
If Zach tells you a secret, you won't tell anyone else that secret.
Oh yeah, no. Maybe.
Yeah.
That might be one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to tell Hannah. No, I'm just kidding.
Which then it gets to a point where like if someone is telling me a secret, I'm honored. I will be a vault, a time capsule buried deep in the ground from 2005 until I die. I will take this to the grave.
Yeah. That says a lot. Who you gossip to, who you vent to is also very important because your venting can turn into gossip very quickly if you are doing that to the wrong person. Mm-hmm. And the wrong person can be who you least expect sometimes.
Absolutely. But then that also comes back to the survival skills. Like through gossiping and through venting and sharing information, you discover who your people are. Because you find like-minded individuals, you find people who feel the same way as you do. I think gossiping is necessary. The fact that men wanted to stop us from gossiping tells you how important it was. And that leads me to want to talk about the scold's bridle.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The scold's bridle was sometimes called the witch's bridle or a gossip's bridle. A brank's bridle or simply branks was an instrument of punishment as a form of public humiliation. It was an iron muzzle in an iron framework that enclosed the head, and some bridles were masks that depicted suffering. A bridle bit. It was 2 inches by 1 inches inside, and it slid into the mouth and pressed down on the top of the tongue, often with a spike on the tongue as a compress. It functioned to silence the wearer from speaking entirely to prevent the women from nagging. This prevented speaking and resulted in many unpleasant side effects for the wearer, including excessive salivation, fatigue in the mouth, and for extra humiliation, a bell could also be attached to draw in crowds. The wearer was then led around town by a leash.
Shame.
Shame.
Shame. Man, that's sad. And probably the woman was just like, hey, that guy raped me. Can we look out? And the guy
Yeah.
was probably a judge, and he was probably like, you're sentenced to the scold's bridle.
It was up to husbands and men in the family to determine if their wife was a scold, which is another name for a shrew, and was used to describe a sharp-tongued, loud woman who gossips and spread lies.
My God, that'd have been me. See, this is why I was born in the time that I was born.
Thank God. There are reasons why women behave the way they do today, and it's because of centuries of abuse.
I've lost friends because of gossiping. Now I don't say anything out loud that I would not say to your face. So if it got back to you, I would stand 10 toes down and be like, yeah, I said that. So there's nothing that I will say now that if it comes back to me, then I have to be like, I didn't say that. Or, oh my God. But that also, it comes with the thought that when someone hears that you've talked bad about them, that they come to you, because a lot of times they don't. They just hear it and they go, yeah, I'm going to take that as face value and just completely cut this person out of my life. And then you're like, wait, what? Just why doesn't she talk to me anymore? Gossiping has saved me from being friends with people who weren't the nicest to me. I had 2 friends in the last couple of years come to me about the same person, and both of them said the same thing. Both these friends, they don't know each other. They both separately came up to me and they were like, hey, that person's kind of mean to you. Like, we caught a couple of times where she said some kind of questionable things. And my one friend was like, I could tell you clocked it by your face. And then you kind of just like moved on. She repeated it back to me what this person said. Friend, would you say that to me? I was like, no, I wouldn't. She was like, then why are you letting people say that shit about you? Like, to your face, and like disguise it as a joke. Like, this person doesn't like you.
I think we all experience something like that where you have a relationship with your friend, but other people perceive that relationship as like kind of weird, and they go like, why are you letting this person treat you this way? When we reached out on our social media pages for people to tell us gossip, or if they've had friends talk shit about them, I received a message from a close friend who said, a few years ago, Hannah, we were drunk and you told me that you and other people were talking shit about me. And then the following day, you said that you made it up. And when I read this message, I like, even thinking about it now, like I'm shaking. I can feel like the adrenaline like rushing up in me, and I was like, "Oh my God, what did I say?" And number 2, why would I lie about? Why would I make something up? Why would I say that I've made it up? Because that part doesn't sound like me. Like, if you call me out, I will definitely own it. And so I had to do a little introspection yesterday when I got this message, and I apologized to my friend. I was like, you know what? I remember that time, and we were very drunk. It's not an excuse. It's another reason why I don't drink anymore. Because, boy, could I run my fucking mouth and forget about whatever I said. And I was like, there was a lot of contention in that triage of friendship that we were experiencing. And I was like, I do remember talking shit. And I'm sorry. There's no excuse. And I'm also I'm sorry that I hurt you. The reality is that her experience is real. And even though I don't remember it, I validate that it happened, that I was a piece of shit. And it honestly makes me wonder why she wants to be friends with me. If I hurt her to the point where she is still questioning things and is affected by it, why are you friends with me?
Another thing with gossiping too, I was pregnant during COVID, and gossip was fantastic during this time because it told me who was vaccinated, who wasn't, who was going out and not quarantining, and those were the people I needed to stay away from. And that was
Yeah.
fantastic. So being pregnant during that time was very scary. So that was another like
Yeah.
survival thing during that time. I had a baby shower that you came to December 2020,
Hmm.
and if it wasn't during COVID, I would have had a huge baby shower, but could only invite a certain number of people. And I have a very close friend of mine who lives in Las Vegas, and I really, really wanted her to be there. And she was like, I'm going to quarantine. And she was going to come to Austin early and quarantine in Austin and then come to my house. So I was like, oh my gosh, she is going above and beyond. Yes, please come. And then it turns out that she wasn't quarantining while she was in Vegas and was posting it on her Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat, so I'm not seeing this. And I had someone message me, "Hey, just heads up, I know that this person's coming to your baby shower. She's partying," and like sent me pictures. And so I texted her and I was like, "Hey, I'm pregnant. It took me 3 years to get pregnant. I'm only having one child. I'm not risking shit. I wouldn't do it no matter what. But like, you you know what? Maybe let's not have you come." And she was
Good.
like, "Okay,
The statement is true. Like gossip is, it doesn't have to be negative or positive.
that's true."
It's just talking about someone. But we have such a negative connotation with it.
You're so right. I gossip negatively with my really good friend Lucy, who we grew up with, and I don't talk shit about her, but like she still lives in her hometown, so she's constantly like, "Oh my god, you're never gonna believe this," and I'm like, "Bitch!" Like it's
Tell
like the
me.
best thing ever, and it's hurting nobody. Like nobody, you know what I mean? Nobody gives a shit. It's such a harmless act. So for it to have this horrible stigma and these women back in the day being treated so horribly over it, nobody's dying.
Yeah. But then you think about the Me Too movement, how women truly have to band together and say, this person, this influential man, touched me inappropriately, raped me. And it requires women to communicate with each other. It requires women to communicate with the media, with lawyers, with everyone in order to make change happen, to make the world a safer, better place. We have to talk to each other. I could see why men would want to put a fucking iron muzzle on us. What's the T on me?
I know. I would love to hear what people say about honestly, I feel like it's not that hard to figure out like what people say about me. Like
Yes.
I know I'm an acquired taste.
If you're going to do gossiping, like a certain level of gossiping, you have to be able to take it. If
Yeah,
you
you
can dish
do.
it, you can take it. And you also have an understanding of people talk about me.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. And if it's negative, it's negative. Good for
Yeah.
them. If it's positive, it's positive. Good for me.
Yeah. I dated this guy in Vegas and then like come to find out he was married and that sucked. But obviously as soon as I found that out I was like, no. And so I went to the artisan. I'm at this pool and there's his new girlfriend is there. And my sister and her friend,
Not
yeah.
not his
No,
wife.
not wife, new girlfriend. Yeah.
Whoa.
And so I didn't really speak to him. I don't really care. Like I'm like, there's no loss here. Like he was married. I'm not upset, you know. I'm more upset that like it happened in the first place. So my sister and her friend go to the bathroom and they're in the stalls and my sister's like, "Oh my gosh, I wonder if she knows that he's married." Also, what a downgrade from Kaylee, which it wasn't. Like this girl was gorgeous. Like it was
Oh.
not a downgrade. Like thanks, but y'all are delusional. Um Anyways, but then they start talking about like Kaylee said she should have known because he drove a minivan because like his wife had kids. And I just thought he drove a minivan because he was a DJ and like for his stuff. Like, it didn't dawn on me at all. And so they walk out of the stalls, and the girl is standing at the sink, and her like hands on the sink and like her head down. And they like walk out, and she just like looks up, like. And my sister was like, "How much of that did you hear?" And she was like, "I heard everything." And she was more upset that they were talking about like me being an upgrade than this guy being married.
I mean, we all have priorities.
I mean, yeah, some different than others. I mean, if you are listening to this, I forget her name now, but you are very pretty.
Oh.
But also, like, maybe don't date married men. You're better than that.
You're better than that.
Oh, well, all right. Well,
You're better than that.
birds be
That's
chirping.
birds be chirping, and we're going to keep on chirping.
Bye.